Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to go through something a little bit different. I'm going to answer the question at the top of the board there, who is Kevin Walsh PT? So the thought behind this video is that there's so many personal trainers out there, especially online, and that to give you a clear explanation of who I am, where I've learned from, and how I apply that every day, and how I get the results I do, and how I educate my clients and train my clients and why I train them in the ways I do. So with that, let's jump straight into this video. Alright, so when I go through who I've been heavily influenced throughout the course of the video numerous times with numerous different people, but I suppose you could sum up my training philosophy in the way I've learned. And I talked about this before in the education video, but that could have applied to anything. So this is more specific to personal training. The way I've learned would be the Chinese proverb, a single conversation with a wise man is worth 10 years of study. That's the way I've learned. I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of very, very wise people with tons of experience, paid a lot of money for the experience to talk to them, to pick their brains and to try and find out what pitfalls I should avoid and what I should be doing to be a top class, world class personal trainer, which has always been my goal since I started in the industry. So the second thing that's written on there is your body is your business card, and something similar to that is you are your first client. So I'm a strong believer that anything I give my clients or any type of program or eating plan I've given anyone else, that I've been through the same myself, and that I have tried and been the guinea pig for absolutely everything in the last 12 years since I started lifting my weights. Nearly every type of weight training you can think of, weight training program you can think of, went through different coaches with different approaches and tried every last diet you can imagine as well, to all come and formulate things together to give a simple approach. Right now, the last year, definitely my approach has been simplified an awful lot. Okay, so first YouTube video where I'm using the whiteboard, and I got these little bullet points as well, so I'm very excited about them. So as I skip through these 10 points, I will say that I could talk for at least an hour, if not 2 or 3 hours on each one of these points. This is just to skim through today and give you a gist of where I've learned from and just how much time and money I have invested in becoming a top class personal trainer. It hasn't come without huge sacrifices. Luckily, there have been sacrifices I've enjoyed making, because I've had a great time learning from the people and the experiences that I'm talking about on the board behind me. So the first thing is I started lifting weights when I was 16. So I had 3 mentors. I'd love to do a video on them, but I had 3 mentors, Kieran, Enda and Alan, who were all about 5 years older than me. Crazy the effects they had on me, right down to my college choices, lifting weights, not drinking much alcohol, all that sort of thing. So they taught me, like any young lad going to the gym, 16 years of age, they taught me what they knew. And trust me, when you know nothing and someone that bit older than you teaches you what they know, you think they're Yoda, you think they're the Mr. Miyagi of lifting weights. So I took loads from those 3 guys, just a few years older than me, played football or just did a mixture of doing it for football and aesthetic purposes, and I constantly bang off questions off them all the time, asking questions, trying to get as much information as I could from them, because they were the guys I knew from my area who were bigger and stronger than me, which isn't a bad mindset to get into. Okay, obviously you won't learn everything you need to know by just asking people who are bigger and stronger than you. It's not a bad place to start if you've never been in a gym before. The second thing I did, so what I became quickly obsessed with weight training. I started getting into it because of the sport, because of GEA. But I quickly found that I was enjoying lifting weights far more than I was the sport at the time. So I started reading a website and Googling at the time when I was in college in Mary top 5 exercises for chest, top 5 exercises for quads, top 5 exercises for hamstrings. And I came across this website called Project Swole. I'll never forget it. It was just this kind of bro style website, just talk through all the exercises. I looked at it there the last day just as I was writing notes for making this video, and hadn't been on the site in I'd say at least 9 years, and I went back on it and it's all there. So you can still look at it. Project Swole, and I absolutely soaked up every single thing I could on Project Swole and everything I could on college football training, American college football training. So not bad places to start for someone who's never done a course before. At this time I didn't think I'd be a personal trainer. I thought I was going to become a teacher. But I swallowed every bit of information on training college football players. That's why the gym is blue and orange, because the Florida Gators, but that's a story for another time. And college football and Project Swole. So then that brings me then, I came across Charles Poliquin through German volume training. I heard about 10 by 10 squats. I was like, that's fucking stupid. Who the fuck could do 10 by 10 squats? But when I looked into it and I came across the Poliquin website, Charles Poliquin, world-renowned strength coach, I'm talking about Yoda, Mr. Miyagi. Poliquin is the gold standard of all strength and conditioning coaches, all strength coaches, bodybuilders, absolutely anything to do with physical preparation for any team sport or even, army forces, literally anything. Charles Poliquin was the go-to person at the time, and all his disciples, he had a group of around was 50 disciples worldwide who did all his courses and were really high up in his information. That's where I leaned towards, and I started diving more and more into that sort of stuff. The basics of Charles Poliquin's fundamentals, of the Poliquin's principles, was what brought me an awful long way into the strength and into the fitness industry. Finding out what his principles were, how to apply them, and just how to keep things quite simple. So around that time I was absorbing all this information. I quit college and decided to open the gym because I was getting asked to train people, because I was training football teams at the time. Got asked to train a few people when I was working in a bar, and they started losing weight, so I was like, hey, why not try and open a gym? So that's another long story for another day. I'd love to go through, but for now I just left college, opened the gym, started off with the rawest material you can think of, just 3 barbells, a few kettlebells and a few mats. That's literally all I had. And I started applying German body comp, the books on the table there I'll go through later on, but German body comp, German volume training, superset training, strict technique, just with step ups, split squats, that sort of stuff. Just started applying that with members of the general public and telling them to eat clean. That's basically it. That's basically all I did for the first couple of years as a personal trainer. And I learned so much just by applying that stuff alone. Now today, I'm going to be talking about what I've learned from other people, but the real education is what you're taking from the board here, or what I'm taking from the board here and all these courses, and how I applied that with my clients. That's where the real education happens. And every one of those said that no matter what they teach me, it's all about what I can apply in the gym to myself and to my clients. So just a couple of months open and absorbing all this information online and doing my best to get results, and I was able to get results very, very early into my career, which was just such a thrill knowing that you're changing people's bodies straight away. So obviously I had so much to learn, but I had been able to get results straight away off the bat. So with that, I started investing in seminars, and the first seminar I went to was the Phil Learning seminar on how to build muscle, so how to build functional hypertrophy for sports, why that's important, and just how to build muscle as a bodybuilder, as someone trying to put on as much muscle as possible onto their frame. That was in Dublin, and then he also did one in Belfast that me and Keane went to, and that was on nutrition, so nutrition for fat loss, nutrition for sports. If you know anything about Phil Learning, or if you look at his stuff, the guy is a genius, really educated, really smart, and delivers his information in a fantastic way, and it was a huge help to me throughout my career, reading all his stuff and absorbing it as much as possible. But the 2 courses I went to really changed the way I see the fitness industry, because once you go to a course and you see all these other trainers who are motivated like yourself and who are that lot more successful than you, it opens your eyes to what's out there and what could be accomplished as a personal trainer. Once I had the Phil learning seminars. They were just day ones done. I went to do the PICP levels 1 and 2 over in Manchester. So this completely changed the game for me. I went over and I was probably used to being one of the strongest guys I know. 120 kg squat, probably 90 kg bench. So probably one of the strongest guys I knew around at the time. Definitely not the strongest, but pretty okay in the gym. And I went over to that course and I was just a mouse, a little midget of a guy compared to a lot of the people doing the course and definitely to the instructors. So PICP level 2 is very much based around training athletes, but that's not to say that what you learned can't be applied to the general public, but it's very much, you know, your lower body, your squats, deadlifts, split squats, lunges, hamstring curls, real Poliquin, strict tempo, strict technique, making sure that the sets and reps are matching what else is on the program and the exercise order is in a certain way. Real Poliquin style stuff, and that was really helpful to me. And I had tight hips at the time, and I remember going over. And when I started applying the step ups and the split squats with better technique, my hips just loosened up straight away, and I've very good hip mobility now. And I've never had one bit of problem since with it, and I've just helped so many other people with tight hips, tight groins, and weak glutes, weak adductors. The Poliquin stuff is just absolute gold for that. It's opening up your shoulders, increasing flexibility, increasing mobility, and of course, increasing strength and muscle mass. Just basic exercises, supersetted, and with perfect technique. But also, while I was in Manchester, there was a sign on the wall in, what was it called? The gym was called Lifestyle Fitness. So there was a sign on the wall of all the trainers, so it must have been like say 40 trainers, working out of this membership gym, and it was the first time I was ever in one of them, and I was just amazed by the equipment in it. There must have been like 200,000 pounds easily worth of equipment in it. So I was just in awe training here for six days for the course. So I had a look at the wall and I saw a PICP level 5. So PICP level 5 is a huge deal if you know anything about Charles Poliquin and the Poliquin style of training and certifications. So he was a level 5, that means he had trained the world champion, and I knew I had to get a consultation. I had read and I'd listened to podcasts and I'd read posts where people, experienced trainers would be just like, if you get the chance to interview people who are smarter than you, who know more than you, wiser men than you, you need to use that chance. So I paid £60 sterling, I think it was, for an hour-long consultation with Andres. Andres Wadnowskowski is his name. It's quite a handful. He's a Polish fella, trained world champions, powerlifters, and he's based in Manchester. He has his own gym now since. So through that conversation, I became, we set up online training, and he became my mentor. So we Skyped every week for a year and a half on absolutely everything to do with fitness. Like what equipment you should have in your gym, what exercises you should be doing, how to lose fat with women, how to lose fat with men, how to build muscle. He was a powerlifter, but he has an encyclopedic knowledge of anything to do with fitness and health. And at PICP level 5, you have to have that type of knowledge. You're talking about some of the best coaches, the most highly qualified and successful coaches in the world, and he was that. I know Eugene Taylor is quite popular now, as is Keegan Smith. Both of those guys have said on their social media that Andre is one of the smartest trainers they've ever met. So having him in my corner, I suppose, for a year and a half, being able to bang every type of question off him doing my programs and nutrition, was just gold for someone at that stage of their personal training career, to be mentored of someone of that high caliber. So that helped me hugely in those first formative years as a personal trainer, right up in years 3 and 4. Another course I went at, so UP, strongly influenced by Poliquin as well. Definitely not a Poliquin only gym or anything like it, but it's definitely strongly influenced by Poliquin. Nick Mitchell, the founder, has been always strongly influenced by Poliquin. So he had a gym called UP Mayfair at the time. It was his second or third gym. There's about 15 of them all over the world, or 20 maybe. But he was advertising a course with a world-class chiropractor who had worked with the fastest white men in the world, the German national sprinting team, who had fixed people with severely bad backs, like nearly as good as overnight or in a couple of weeks. Worked with seriously extreme cases of bad posture and really fix them. He worked with people with torn hamstrings and got them back to full sprinting in the space of a short number of months. He had this unbelievable record behind him, and he was working in UP where I knew Nick Mitchell was going to be there on the day. So I went over to Mayfair, flew over to London. About that time I had actually saved up for a car, but this is how strong the influence of other personal trainers had on me at the time. I'd saved up for a car, really wanted a BMW 3 Series, but I ended up spending all the money because they said while you're in your formative years you should never be spending money on anything like cars or anything too flashy. So I spent all my money on this course with Hassan Zaid, this hypertrophy boot camp in Marbella with Chris Dufay and Justin Maguire, and what was the third one? A bioprint in Manchester. So I got 3 very expensive courses in the space of a week, booked all the 3 of them instead of buying the car and just stuck with the car I had to learn from the best and try and get as much information as possible. So back to Hassan Zaid, so what he went through that day, I'll make a video on that, is I use every single day how to loosen up hip flexors, how to activate muscles with your feet with how to activate muscles with the type of grip you're using for different exercises, and general proprioception, muscle activation, just really, really good stuff that I've been able to use every single day with every single client since I went to that course. Just an outstanding course. You can check him out online as well at Hassan Zaid. He's really good stuff up on his Instagram, like most of these guys do. So I'm skipping around here a bit, but the next we'll say the hypertrophy boot camp, which was in Marbella, and I went there. It was meant to be in UP Marbella first, but I think there was some sort of falling out. I think Justin Maguire has ended up being a bit of a crook since. But anyway, he was head coach in UP at the time. So he was head coach in one of the Ultimate Performance gyms at the time, and he had a string of excellent records, incredible physique himself. And the guy is so smart. Chris Dufay, I was obsessed with that podcast. At the time, he had a really big podcast going. It turns out he's a bit of a crook as well, which isn't uncommon in the fitness industry. But alas, the two of them had very good connections, were very smart, very good at what they do, and had a record of very good results with a lot of people they've worked with. And Justin had been a head coach in UP, and UP is still to this day like the gold standard in personal training for delivering results, which is what I've always based my training philosophy around, is how do you get a result, how do you actually get tangible results, get people in better shape. So in a full week-long boot camp in Marbella, 6 days, 2 lectures a day, both of them 2.5 hours each, 2 training sessions a day. I learned an absolute ton, basically taken through everything on every type of client and trained really, really hard in numerous different ways. I actually did that course with Keane and Kevin Lynch, so that was an eye-opener as well. Also pretty cool, I got to meet Jake Morgan, who's a big inspiration of ours as well in this gym, and I know Kevin Lynch got to visit him over in Texas last year as well. He runs a super gym over there called Cave Fitness. It's awesome. You should check it out on Instagram. If you want to know what group fitness training done right looks like, then he's your guy. It's really, really class the way he has things set up there. It's almost like a CrossFit style setup, except with really strict technique orientated exercises, and really done in the Poliquin style as well, which, as you know by now, I'm a big fan of. So that was Marbella, that was the hypertrophy boot camp. So in the middle of that, about 4 years into personal training, 3 years into personal training, I had a really bad case of stomach bacteria and gut health issues. So I was putting on, I was doing the cycle of bulking and cutting or dieting and trying to bulk up and get bigger, and ended up no bigger, no stronger, same result all the time. So I went to a functional medicine doctor, Dr. Fanula McHale, and that experience brought my knowledge on so much. Now I will definitely make a video on that experience alone, working with one of the best functional health medicine doctors in the world. That changed my mood, concentration, focus, improved my health, no end, my skin, and I got to, while I was up there with her, getting treated for different gastrointestinal issues and getting my bloods taken, getting stool analysis, urine samples. I learned so much about health without talking about, say, calories or medicine or anything like that. It was more a functional approach, how to treat illnesses and how to treat general feelings of unwellness or problems with digestion or anything like that. I learned so much of her that a personal trainer can learn. I'm still not a doctor. So much of her that a personal trainer can apply to make their clients feel better, absorb their foods better, sleep better, and that's had a huge effect on me. That was the way Charles Poliquin always taught nutrition as well. He didn't do any calories. He wasn't a doctor either, but he had this outstanding functional health knowledge that just blew your mind if you were in his company. And I got to go through that process. Again, my body is my business card. I'm my first client. I had to go through that process myself to get as healthy as possible before I started getting maximal benefit from the gym programs and the gym exercises and the diet I was doing. I had to improve my health, and that's helped me look at things through a far different lens with all the different clients I've had since. I'm able to look at things through a lens that so many other personal trainers skip. They just think everything is calories and macros. Sure, they're two of the most important things that we emphasize ourselves here more often, but there's so much going on under the hood of the car that most personal trainers don't consider, which I think the advantage I have as a personal trainer is huge, because I know so much about that stuff. I've learned it through Dr. Fernando McHale and through BioPrint. So I did BioPrint in Manchester and in Marbella. So over in UP Marbella, I've went to that place 3 times. I love visiting gyms. Visiting gyms is one of my favourite things to do, visiting a new gym anywhere. But UP Marbella, what a lot of people consider the best gym in Europe. Went there 3 times, but one of them was for BioPrint with Charles Poliquin. So I got to meet Charles Poliquin there, and when I did the BioPrint course in Manchester as well. So BioPrint is basically, you measure body fat with calipers. I don't know if you see these there. So it's a tool that I've used with great success since. Keen did that course with me. So you take BioPrint and you take their body fat at different areas, 14 different areas around the body. You pinch with the calipers. It gives you a percentage reading, but the percentage reading isn't the make or break. It's more where people are storing their body fat, how that affects their health, and what you can do supplements-wise, training-wise, and just lifestyle in general to help them improve their body composition and their health. It doesn't go into calories and macros really. What it does is give you a general look at what might be going on in this person's body through where they're storing their body fat, whether they're storing most of it in their ass or their stomach or their upper back, and how that affects their health, and how you can use certain supplements, training methods to get the body fat down in those certain areas, and how that's going to affect their health. So I've been able to use that massively, especially when you couple that with your knowledge of calories and macros. It's just the ultimate in terms of helping someone lose body fat, and it's been a huge help in getting the excellent results that you see on our social media pages that we've been able to achieve. Also meeting Charles Poliquin for the first time in those BioPrint seminars. Charles Poliquin, Carlos Castro, Stefan Inev of Clean Health in Australia. It changes the way you look at your career and your job, and just how far these people have got in the personal training industry, and how much there is to learn and how far you can go. So that's my ambition, is to become one of the best trainers in the world, and being around them Poliquin courses and the other ones I'm talking about here, and in some of the best personal training gyms in the world and the best coaches in the world, has just completely opened up my mind to what is possible out there as a personal trainer. And it's what I try, and the methods I try and apply in the gym here every single day are strongly influenced by these courses. So after working with Dr. Fernando McHale, I had been doing a huge amount of looking into what they do in a gym called Clean Health in Sydney, Australia. I'd advise anyone to look it up, no matter what your level of fitness is, male or female, beginner or advanced. Clean Health is one of the top gyms in the world, with a lot of the top coaches in the world working on it. So I was listening to a lot of their podcasts, the Under the Bar podcast with Roden and Tom. Hilarious podcast, so well put together, really funny guys, and top class guests from Charles Poliquin, Andrea Benoit, Rachel Fox, literally the who's who of the personal training and fitness world. That most highest caliber coaches are all on that podcast. So I was listening to that loads, and Ronan had developed quite a reputation for himself as a bodybuilding coach, so I hired him. It was expensive again, very expensive, the top coaches are, for 2 years training. About 18 months training, a full bulking phase, a full cutting phase. So I put on 16 kg, definitely not all muscle, and then I cut back down and transformed my physique. But more importantly, I learned about the ways that some of the coaches use in Clean Health, that Ronan uses himself, the way he structures his online plans, and I constantly was Skyping on over that time frame, following his plans. And just again, back to my point, your body is your business card. I'm my first PT client, trying out all these different methods on myself, finding out what works, what doesn't work, and working with a world-class coach to really see what do they put their clients doing, does it work for me, how does it vary from client to client, all things like that. So while I may have came to, in the end, a more simplified version with Mountain Dog and Deck Clear, I definitely wouldn't disregard the experience. It's not for me right now, but working with that world-class coach, using his methods, was definitely an eye-opener to what's out there. Very strict with the diet, very strict with the food quality, and purely volume-based hypertrophy programs with lots of cardio. So really, really tough regime. Just to finish, what have I been doing the last year? The last year I've spent all my money on education, on books obviously, we'll finish with them, but on Mountain Dog, John Meadows' website, absorbing everything I can from that website and looking as much as possible into his style of training. So I've been training the Mountain Dog way for the whole of this year, which is a bodybuilding style way of training. I've been doing that, and I've bought a good few of his programs training that way, a good few of his ebooks on how to train and how to set up a diet the Mountain Dog way, which is quite simple. It's quite simple, quite straightforward, and I'm helped hugely by all the deeper science I've went into in the past. My coach for the last year is Declan Clear, and I like to joke sometimes with King that he's the Irish Mountain Dog, so he likes to keep things very simple, very straightforward. It's not rocket science, as he likes to say himself. And that's had a big, big effect on the way I train my clients. When I couple this simple, get your calories right, get your macros right, get your cardios nice and set up, train hard with the basic exercises. When I couple that with all the knowledge I've went through in the past, it's been really, really effective. And my last year of training has been my best year of training, allowing me to have my best physique ever so far. Also, having a coach from Ireland who I can visit makes my job trying to be a bodybuilder, trying to get a pro card in the WBFF so much easier, because I constantly have someone who's personally there for me to bang ideas off no matter what they are. So at this stage of the prep, it's about getting flat or dieting too hard or whatever, but I constantly have someone that overlooks what I'm doing, someone who's experienced and someone who's won shows at a really high caliber, who's the Irish champion a few times over himself. So the last thing I'll go through is, if you wanted a few books to learn from that would help you understand things the way I understand things, these are great books that are very, very simple, that I recommend to any personal trainer or anyone who's into fitness in general, okay, how to get the most out of your training and your nutrition. So the first one is The Strength Code by Eric Falstrout. Then you have N1 Nutritional Programming by Phil Lerney. Then you have these two books, Principles of Muscle Building Program Design and Body Transformation Meal Plans. If you wanted to understand the way we train people in the gym, you pretty much will find out everything you need to know in those 4 books. Then Strength Trainer Anatomy, getting to know all your muscles, is super, super important, and gives you a huge tactical advantage when you're writing programs or when you're training anyone through injuries or any type of sports. And then the last two, German Body Comp, Charles Polkin, the original one. Nothing about calories, but so much gold in here. And that's the way I've trained people from day one, and I continue to train them in a very similar style, the German Body Comp way. Obviously changing exercises all the time, but very, very similar to that original German Body Comp. And I use that along with Jailhouse Strong. Josh Bryant, I love his stuff. Definitely not near as strict on technique as Poliquin is, but an absolute top coach, world-class coach on all different varieties of physical preparation, whether that's sports like the NFL, bodybuilding, powerlifting, no matter what it is. And what I love about Jailhouse Strong, like I love about the rest of these books, simple, easy to follow, easy to understand, doesn't major in the minors, doesn't overcomplicate things. And that would be my message as a personal trainer, is you can do so much if you have a coach over you that's constantly simplifying things and constantly taking things one step at a time, not over complicating your programs with a huge variety of exercises and activation drills and functional training, or doing too much cardio, or dieting too hard, or cutting extreme on food groups. So to cap it all off, today's video, I like my training to be very simple. The basic exercises done really well, and I've learned from the best coaches in the world, spending a fortune. I've more spent on courses and education than I do the equipment and the whole gym. So I've learned that the best trainers keep things very simple, the best coaches use the basic exercises and do them really well, and that's what I do with all our clients. All our clients who you've seen on our social media pages who've got superb results have used quite simple methods, quite straightforward, quite easy to understand. And the more and more I learn from people like I've been talking about behind me, the more I know and realize that my job is to keep things as simple as possible and as easy for the client to follow as possible. Hard work, obviously, but simple, straightforward, and easy to understand. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions on any of the courses I've done behind me, or anything I've learned at any of those courses, I'd love to get in touch. I help people through the knowledge and the information and what I've applied in the gym over the last 6 years, every single day. So I'd love to help you. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.